upsets, and let's talk about two of these teams that pretty much upset a lot of teams getting into this into this level. Like obviously San Diego State University, the number 5 seed, they just beat Creighton, which was a hell of a game. They beat them 57-56. It was incredible, and they came out on top. And then you got the number 9 seed, like you said, Florida Atlantic University. I mean, they kind of got lucky in the first round, or sorry, in the second round, I would say, because you did have Farley Dickinson beat Purdue, so they got to play a 16 seed in the second round. But after that, like they kept on upsetting everybody. So you definitely got to give them props. They beat Tennessee and Kansas State, number 4 and number 3 seed in
Mhm.
this region. So
Yep.
incredible for what they can do. They're definitely the Cinderella story of the tournament, Florida Atlantic University. So let's talk about this game, FAU versus SDSU.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Florida Atlantic is the Cinderella story this year. While there's other lower seeds that won games at this point in the Final Four, like they're the Cinderella story. And they did it with their defense. They have shown that they can just be a defensive juggernaut. They're pretty much what they're throwing down with all the teams in the tournament. Threw down in their conference tournament
Yeah.
and just showing that they pretty much don't care about who's rocking, who's getting the ball, who's scoring. As long as we show up on the defensive end and just grit and grind, we're gonna get ourselves some
Mm-hmm.
wins. And like you said, beating Tennessee, Kansas definitely prove, like you said, the first round they might have gotten a pass, or after the second round, but definitely in the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16, they showed that there are teams that can contend. So the question is, can they do it against San Diego
Mm-hmm.
State? Pretty much both teams are definitely balanced and definitely deep. So while people are a little bit more excited for UConn versus
Yeah.
Miami, this is a team where honestly, this is a game where anything can happen. You don't know who's going to be the leading scorer. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know who's going to take over, and you don't know. Like this is you just really can't guess with this
That's
game.
true.
Like it's
That's
really
true.
going to be hard to guess because they're so deep, they're so balanced, and they do everything almost at the same level when it comes to they just do a little bit of everything well. So when it comes to Florida Atlantic, they pretty much they're led by Janelle and Elijah. Pretty much their leading scorers, Janelle Davis and Elijah
Martin.
Martin.
Yep.
Um, got great mismatches on the perimeter, a good 3 point shooting team, and then rounding it out, they got Golden as their big man who's giving them 7 and 8 this tournament, pretty much grinding down low, making sure that they can contend in the paint. The thing I love about this team though is that they're not afraid to just switch things up and just make sure that they have to do what they have to do to beat the team they're facing. That's why I said both these teams are kind of good at that when it comes to making sure they don't they can find a way to mismatch and do what they need to do. If they got a big man that can
Yeah.
score, they're gonna feed it to their big man. If they got weak perimeter defense, they're gonna try to shoot on the outside on just pretty much things like that.
Sure.
So definitely on the other end, San Diego, they're looking very, very good this year as well. Both teams got A-plus players scoring high levels throughout this tournament. San Diego pretty much is a deep rotation that loves to throw people in, throwing a lot of guards, and pretty much try to shoot you out the gym. Um, Even with all that, they still got a good front court. They great perimeter defense, and I mean prolific perimeter defense. Like they fight over screens, very physical, great athleticism, long arms, and force teams to just shoot trash beyond the perimeter, which is at a
Mm.
17%. So I definitely think this is going to be a chess
Yep.
match. Uh, Owls are going to come out, try to shoot. They're going to have trouble with that. They're going to try to go down low. We're going to have to see pretty much how any of those big men can do anything like Mensa, Johnson, or Leedy, see what they can do against Golden. And then obviously see how the guards kind of react to that and maybe use some high screen pick and rolls, try to get through. The both the teams like to use zones, so I just really think this is just going to be a back and forth chess match, and I do think it's going to be a close game. Before I tell you who I think pulls away, just at the end, I want to hear what your thoughts and analytics are in this
I
game.
agree with a lot of your points. By the way, I think you broke it down very well because I agree with that it's going to be a chess match. I think that both of these teams are gonna try to find ways to score, and they're gonna find those ways to score, and then they're gonna keep utilizing those same ways throughout the game. Like if they find out that they can post up, like Vladislav, if he can post up for FAU, then Golden's definitely gonna try to get those points and get those offensive rebounds to try to put the ball back in there. The thing with both of these teams, SDSU and the Florida Athletic University, they're both lower scoring teams, and they
Mhm.
definitely depend a lot on the mid range shot. Both of these teams are like lower 50s and 3 pointers, and that's not great. FAU was actually a little bit better than SDSU. SDSU was a very bad 3 point shooting team, and I'll be honest, like the last two games that they had since the Sweet 16, they got very lucky, very very lucky because the teams that they played, they held their opponents to 5 for 44 from three. That's 11%. So I don't know if that's a lot. A lot of that is their defense, or if that's just bad shooting from those teams. So you're gonna have to wonder in this game if the Owls, like the FAU Owls, can get those 3 point shots and actually make them. Because if they do, then that definitely hurts San Diego State University. I mean, I'll give them this though. FAU, they went through the Conference USA and they just tore everybody up. They're definitely a team to watch. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised that they weren't ranked top 25 this year. They should have in the regular season. They should have been ranked top 25. That's how good they were. They were 33 or 31-3. They ended up 28-3 before the conference tournament, but incredible season for them. And like you said, it's mostly from their two guys, Davis and Martin, who were pretty much their leading scorers, but they do pass the ball to everybody around there, like you said. Now for SDSU, the question is really going to be: are they going to be able to out rebound FAU, because they actually have trouble with their defensive rebounds? So I am going to have to watch that. That's definitely a big key in this game, because they got Lidi, who's like one of their higher rebounders. Like he gets 5.3. Then you got Mensa, but he's more of like a bench guy, and he's pretty much your top rebounder in this tournament. He was getting 6.7 rebounds a game in this tournament. So, I mean, you can't expect your bench guy to be your top rebounder if you want to win a game like this. For me, a question in this game is going to be 3 pointers and paint points. If FAU is able to score 3 pointers, then they're going to be very successful. If SDSU is able to get those paint points and get those offensive rebounds and putbacks, then they're going to be very successful. So I think both of these teams have a chance to win this game. I think this is definitely a pick 'em game.
And no, that's why I said it's a chess match because um what like all the things that you mentioned, things that I mentioned are kind of what they're gonna be trying to work around. So Aztecs, 17% shooting. Teams that go up against them have 17% shooting. They're ridiculously, ridiculously good on the perimeter.
So that
They're, like I said, physical. They
yeah.
fight over screens. They're
So that
lengthy.
was my question. Do you think that's good defense, or do you think those are bad shooting from those teams?
So I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
defense. They're putting very good pressure. Now San Diego only shooting, or not San Diego, Florida Atlantic only shooting 32% in the tournament. But they might have a tendency of giving. They have the tendency of giving different looks, and one of those looks might be trying to put four guards out there
That's interesting.
to get more shooting opportunities. But now, like you said, four guards out there,
Lose out on
that
rebounding.
creates some 3 point opportunity. But now, does that help Golden and him when he has to now fight up against Leedy and Mensa? And like you also left out Kashad Johnson.
True.
He's another good rebounder. All three of them are averaging five or more in this
Mm-hmm.
tournament. So do you put out more shooters and try to overcome that physicality? Because 17% shooting teams against them, that's ridiculously
It
good.
really is.
You're right. It's a combination of both. Them being physical and good defending, and obviously it's a tournament. Some teams just not showing their best.
That's where I.
But you have to go in that game knowing that that stat is that
Mm.
stat.
Yeah, see, I kind of think that it's definitely a little bit of both. for me, I kind of tend to think a other way. I kind of think it's the tournament, and these teams are kind of getting cold, and they're just shooting cold on SDSU. Now, I'm not saying that they're not good defenders because Bradley and Trammell, both of these guys have long arms, and they could definitely guard any point guard and literally any shooter. Now, I mean, you saw like I don't know if you saw that game against K State, but when Noel was like playing playing against Trammell, it was definitely a chess match, but Noel was kind of winning that match. Like he got 30 points in that K State game, so there's definitely you know this that was definitely a challenge. But I do think that if they can actually like they can defend the three like you said, if they could stop Martin from scoring threes because he's probably the best 3-point shooter on FAU, and you can also put in Rosado, who's a bench player. He's over 40% 3-point shooter. So they got two guys that can score over 40%. If they could stop those two guys, I mean, the bench guy you might not have to worry about as much, but definitely Martin you'll have to worry about. So if they stop him, then they're definitely gonna have some success. But what do you think?
Yes, and it also depends on what defense they play. Are they going to stay man? Are they going to switch to zone? Both these teams like to switch to zone. Are they going to switch on the pick and
Mm-hmm.
rolls? Are they going to try to hedge? Like it all depends on what they're going to do because these two teams are very good at high pick and rolls and making decisions off those high pick and rolls to really force something to happen. So it's definitely a good mismatch to watch. And I do have it a 5 point game.
So who you got then? 5-point game, but who?
I got San Diego State.
Wow.
Uh, just being a little bit too defensive, and both of them are great, very great defensively. But honestly, while both of them struggle a little bit, I do believe that San Diego's defense will be the one that overcomes Florida Atlantic,
Mm,
and just a little bit too rough to come by.
yeah, that's interesting, man.
About you, who you got?
Oof. See, it's tough because looking at Florida Atlantic, they like to pass the ball, but they're so bad at getting assists. Like they like to play that one-on-one ball at times where once a guy passes the ball, they'll hold the ball for like 5-7 seconds of the shot clock and then try to make a move and try to go inside or something. Same with when they pass it inside to their big man. It's very similar. Like they hold the ball in that post, and there's not a lot of like double teams to go on to the big man, so then they could pass the ball on the outside and shoot the three. So I'm worried about that for them. But now on the other side, I do think that part of what you said is true. Is like they're definitely lengthy on the outside. They're able to, put their hands up as SDSU on the three. They definitely are, and they're definitely going to be good defenders. But I think that they're playing a better team than they're expecting. I'm not saying that they're not ready for this team, but I'm thinking that what they think is this is going to be more of an inside game. What I think Florida Atlantic is going to go off and start shooting threes. I do expect them to try to shoot at least 30 threes this game, which is a lot. Usually they average around like 24, 22. That's what they got the last two games, but I think that they're going to try to shoot a lot more threes so then they could try to make more. That's the way that they win this game. And I actually have them winning the game. FAU, I think they're going to take it. I actually
Mhm.
got it a 7-point game. Oh, sorry, 8-point game. No, I'm sorry. I got it an 8-point game. I got it 64-56.
Wow. Nah, honestly, I'm not even mad. Like I said, it's gonna be very hard to choose who you want to win this game. Um, so safe to say that we both think whoever wins this game is gonna face UConn
In the national
in the
championship.
championship game. But we got San Diego. I got San Diego State versus UConn, and you got Florida Atlantic University versus UConn.